Today I'm going to talk about the Rhoden family murders. I know this story has been covered extensively. However, I have a personal connection to the family and felt that I needed to do a story about it. Here's a photo showing Pike County with the red dot, and I grew up in neighboring Adams County. My brother knew the Rhodens, especially Dana, and she would come into his place of work often in Peebles, Ohio. Now, y'all may be familiar with Peebles, as it's home to the well-known Serpent Mound. Both of these counties are small, rural Appalachian counties, and everyone pretty much knows everyone. So our story starts on April 21st, 2016. Dana Rhoden, after working a 12-hour shift, is getting off of work at Hillside Nursing Home around 11 p.m. At 12:40 a.m. the next morning, Hannah Rhoden sends her last text message. Dana sends her last text and posts on social media at 12:54 and 12:58 a.m. Later that morning, Bobby Jo Manley, Dana's sister, arrives at one of the homes to feed the animals and makes a gruesome discovery. She calls 911 at 7:49 a.m. and reports that she's just found the bodies of Christopher Rhoden and his cousin, Gary. She checks the home next door and reports that she's also found the bodies of her nephew, Clarence Frankie Rhoden, and his fiancée, Hannah Gilly. Their 2 young children were there, but unharmed. Her brother goes a mile down the road to his sister Dana's trailer on Union Hill Road and discovers her deceased inside. Her children, Hannah Rhoden and Christopher Jr., are later discovered by police, killed by gunshots. Christopher Jr. was very young, I believe 16 years old. Hannah Rhoden had a 3-year-old daughter at the time who was in her father's care that weekend. Jake Wagner is his name. She also had a 4-day-old baby by a different person, and the baby was nursing on her at the time of the shooting. The baby was covered in blood but physically unharmed. At 1:26 p.m., it is reported that Kenneth Rhoden is dead in his camper a few miles away. On April 24th, police report that they found a marijuana growing operation at 2 of the crime scenes. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine announces that the murders are a premeditated execution and that it was a sophisticated operation. This made a lot of people, especially the locals, think that these murders could have been committed by like a higher up drug organization, possibly. And because they were already pointing to like an organized kill on the family, it made sense with the tying in of the drugs that it could be a group like that. So people were really scared, and some of the remaining Rhoden members in both counties were afraid that they would be next. From April 28th through May 4th, the Rhoden family members were laid to rest at various cemeteries, with the majority of them being buried at Scioto Burial Park. On May 12th and 13th, authorities moved the family's trailer homes to storage facilities to keep evidence intact. On July 22nd, a $10,000 reward is announced. On August 4th, it is announced that there is more than one killer and the remaining family members in the area are still in danger. On August 17th, DeWine announces the killers were familiar with the Rhodens' properties. 6 of the 8 victims were shot in the head. Christopher Sr. was also shot in the torso and limbs, making locals think he had fought back or tried to get away. But either way, people believed he saw his murderers. Some of the bodies had bruising, which meant that they were also beaten. Many of the victims were shot in their beds. It is estimated that 32 shots were fired during the murders. 5 search warrants were executed and over 50 people interviewed in connection with the case. On May 12th, a search warrant was executed on a property only 10 miles from where the murders happened. The police said they were looking for evidence. They also searched a home in Adams County that once belonged to Jake Wagner, the father of Hannah Rhoden's 3-year-old daughter. Rhoden had been sexually involved with Jake at age 13 and got pregnant at 15. On June 20th, it was announced that more information was being sought about Jake, his brother, and his parents. By this time, the Wagners had suspiciously moved to Alaska with Jake and Hannah's daughter. On November 13th, 2018, DeWine announced that the Wagner family had been arrested and charged with the murders. Jake's grandmothers, Rita Newcomb and Frederica Wagner, were also arrested for misleading investigators. Newcomb was also charged with forging custody documents to help cover up the Wagner's crime. In 2019, Newcomb pled guilty to a lesser charge, and the charges against Frederica were dropped. On April 21st, 2021, Jake Wagner pleaded guilty to 8 counts of aggravated murder, felony conspiracy, 4 counts of aggravated burglary, tampering with evidence, forgery, unauthorized use of property, interception of wire, obstruction of justice, engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity, unlawful sexual contact with a minor, and other charges. As part of the guilty plea, Wagner, who admitted to shooting 5 of the 8 victims, agreed to cooperate and testify against his family. But this deal would also mean that none of the family members would receive the death penalty. Jake received 8 life sentences without the possibility of parole. On September 10th, Jake's mother, Angela, pled guilty to conspiracy to commit aggravated murder, aggravated burglary, tampering with evidence, and other charges. She will spend 30 years in prison. Jake's brother George was found guilty on all counts of murder and will spend life in prison without the possibility of parole. Jake's father, George III, hasn't been tried yet and most likely won't be until 2024. His wife Angela said the massacre was all her husband's idea. The reason for the murders was over custody of Jake and Hannah's 3-year-old daughter. So they didn't want the Wagners to have any part in the custody of that daughter. Not partial custody, full custody, nothing. They wanted Jake to have sole custody of their daughter. The Pike County murders were part of Ohio's largest murder investigation and most costly, with $1 million being set aside for the trials. Many of those involved in the killings and cover-up have expressed remorse for what happened, but it's too little too late for locals. They will never be able to fully get over what happened when a peaceful small community was made to be fearful in the wake of a terrible tragedy. Okay guys, that's it. I just wanted to do this video quickly. There's certainly more information out there if you want to read up about it. More details and things that I didn't add in here. But if you're from the area and you're familiar with the case, or you have a personal connection to the case or the Rhodens or the Wagners, please leave a comment and just let me know your story and how this affected you. If you enjoyed this content, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any other stories to share that have happened in the Ohio area, please just comment and let me know so that I can do some research and do a story on them in the future. Thank you.